Okay. Hilarious. Today's thought is about having a plan. And the reason I'm finding this so funny is because I have a plan for this video and I just recorded the entire thing and never pressed go. So we're at the start again. Right. The thing that we're talking about today is having a plan in sales calls, life, and business. Don't know why I did that way around, but we're starting off with sales calls. Having a plan in a sales call is a super important thing to start off with, so that your customer, one, feels comfortable knowing what's about to happen, and two, the biggest one is you get to reinforce that you have expertise on this, and so that they know what they're getting into, right? You can show that level of authority. So the way that ours goes is like this. Hi guys, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. My name is Christian. I'm one of the student success leads here at Math Tutors Online, and basically, my job is to get to know Sarah a little bit better, figure out exactly where you are right now with your maths, and where you want to get to, and then I'm actually going to create a roadmap for you to get from where you are right now to where you want to get to, whether that's with us or not. How does that sound? All right. And if we can help you, what we'll do is find you a space on our free program. All right. And then you get into it. And then you go like, well, I'd love to hear more about you. What do you do outside of school? Right? And again, we've gone through as to why it's so important. It's just having a direction of what you're doing so that you don't get bombarded with questions that are going to be coming up, so that you are in control and have a direction for this to go. And I guess direction is the whole point of plans. So now business, number 2. Why have a plan for business? So this is a great story. Straight out of university, Millie and I opened up a coffee shop, right? That was the plan. So we bought a course on how to open up a coffee shop. £700 at the time, more money than we'd ever spent on anything, crazy. And we spent an entire year, full time, 2,000 hours of work, going through all of the details of exactly where we would source everything from, how all of the systems and processes would work. We had a playbook of running, like, if you've ever played basketball, you'll have basketball plays. You'll call a play and like, this is how the shop is laid out. This is how we're going to move around with this number of people, with this number of people at this time. We'd go into competitors like Starbucks and we'd sit there for the day and count the number of customers that came in and exactly how many of each thing they ordered, so that we could make sure to have the right number of cakes, coffee beans, milks, all this stuff to calculate their revenues, then their margins, and then calculate the profit for the day and how many staff came in and out. And we did this so much research. And then anyway, a year later, we finally open up and we have this incredible 3 years to 5 year plan of exactly how everything's going to run. It's going to go so smoothly. Anyway, 4 months in, COVID happens. Plan goes out the window. And then without a plan, literally 2 weeks after that moment, we start a business with no loans, no real idea of what's happening, I think we did £15,000 in our first month, and then 100,000 in the first 6, and then £1 million in the next 8, all without a plan. But we had a direction. And so plans are really important for business because they dictate what actions you're going to take. And so I would say be violent with the direction that you want to take your business, with the plan, violent with the direction of the plan, but very relaxed and fluid with the vehicle by which you take the journey. Because you will meander, you will have things that come and go and situations that you have to adapt to, but you still want to get towards that vision. So that's the purpose of a plan. Don't make a business plan and get that hit of dopamine, get Excel spreadsheet rich and be like, sweet, I've done it, and then never take any action. The purpose of a plan is just to find action. So for a business, what does that look like? What's the minimum amount that actually is like, yeah, this is going to help me do the thing? All businesses have. How do you get customers? How do you get people to pay you? Once they've paid you, what do they do? What does the process look like? Are they being onboarded? What's the customer journey? How are they offboarded? And then, like, how do you collect money? And that's kind of it. Okay? if you have those things, that's as much as of a plan as you need, and then you need to look at the actions of, right, this is what I want to achieve. And then you go about doing it. So I'll tell you right now, like my plan for business and I guess life is to build a business that will sell for £20 million. So let's work back. What does that look like? If you end up having a 4 or 5 or 6 multiplier, let's call it 6, because at that size that would be about reasonable. A 6 multiplier, you'd have to do 3.5 million revenue EBITDA and 35 to 40% profit. You're looking at a £10 million a year business, right? Okay, then you can work backwards from there. So like with sales numbers, let's say one person generates £100,000 worth of sales. This is ridiculous, actually, this number wouldn't work, but let's just, for the sake of maths, you could do this yourself. And to do that, you take 10 sales calls a week. Now, to go from £100,000 a year to 10 million a year, you have to do 100 times the work, right? And if they're doing 10 sales calls a week, that means you need to do 1,000 sales calls a week, multiply it by 100. And now you've got an idea of how to do that. And, that's one sales guy, so you need 100 sales guys. Drastic example, we wouldn't need that many. But just to prove a point of if you know the destination you want to get to, you can do some really basic maths to be like, right, what are the inputs that we need? And it's probably not going to be exactly right. But you're also probably not going to be that far off. Like, you're going to be in the right order of magnitude, which when you're playing with future of like predictions, that's all you need. Okay. Sales done, business done, life. Life is super important to have a plan for. Some people get lucky and end up with a life they love. And I'm incredibly envious, and I love the fact that that's true for some people. But I think for most people, they end up having a midlife crisis because they're not sure about what they want to do or what they want their life to look like. So I think it's important to plan that. I've talked about this in previous videos, and it's also the question I ask at the end of every interview, or final interview, which is, what does your dream day look like? How long are you working? What are you doing? Where are you living? Who are you doing it with? And being very specific with it. Because if you realize that you work best actually only working 4 hours a day, that's okay, as long as you know that, and then you can do some basic maths of how much do I need to earn per hour to live the life that I want to live? What does that look like? Am I supporting my family in this, or is it just me by myself? Do I have a wife, kids? Am I supporting, your parents as well, and all this? Like, the metrics will change for everybody, but if you haven't thought about it, it's really hard to get to where you want to go. Like, the reason I say this is because a lot of people are very, very close to it, and by not doing this very simple thought exercise, they're just missing out on happiness that they could be having. Like, a friend of mine doesn't particularly want a lot in life. He loves building stuff, he loves playing games, he loves learning, and he loves his friends. And he's a school teacher, right? And he realized, I'm unhappy working the standard 9 to 5, 5 days a week. And so he went in and said, hey, I want to work 4 days a week, and this is how much I want to be paid to do that. And they said yes. And now he literally has his dream life. And I love that for him. Other people, like me, have different dreams. And that's okay. But it's really hard to get to where you're going if you don't have a destination in mind. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts and take for today is, overall, have a plan for stuff. Don't go too specific with, this is the only way it's ever going to work, because like life happens. But as long as you have enough of a plan for what actions need to be taken in order for me to be directionally correct, that's enough of a plan. If you don't have that in place, you're going to wander aimlessly and then eventually look up and be like, what am I doing? So there you go. That's my thoughts for today. And I love that I have just about got it done before sunset, so hopefully the quality was okay. But have a great evening, guys. Talk to you tomorrow. Peace.